I still remember the exact moment my heart dropped. It wasn't a scream, it wasn't tears, it was silence. The kind of silence that gets loud in your chest. He was sitting right next to me on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing in the world could touch him. His arm was around me, warm and familiar, the same arm that had held me through panic attacks, through family fights, through nights when I thought I wasn't enough. And yet, something felt off. You ever get that feeling where your body knows the truth before your mind is ready to accept it? That was me that night. I asked him a simple question. Who are you texting? He didn't even look up. Just work. Too quick. Too smooth. I nodded like I believed him. I even smiled. But inside, something cracked. Not loudly, quietly. Like a hairline fracture that spreads when you keep pretending everything is fine. We had been together for 7 years. 7! That's not a fling, that's history. That's shared keys, shared passwords, shared dreams about houses we couldn't afford yet but talked about anyway. I trusted him. Completely. Or at least, I thought I did. That night, after he fell asleep, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. His breathing was slow and steady, peaceful, like a man with nothing to hide. That's what hurt the most. If he had looked guilty, I could have prepared myself. If he had acted nervous, I could have confronted him. But he was calm, and calm can be dangerous. I didn't snoop, not yet. I told myself I was being paranoid, that relationships go through phases, that love doesn't always feel exciting. But deep down, a question kept echoing. Why does someone who claims to love you suddenly feel so far away? That was the night the story really began. Looking back now, the signs were everywhere. I just didn't want to see them. He started coming home later than usual, always with a reason. A meeting ran long, a friend needed help, traffic was bad, and every excuse sounded reasonable because I wanted it to be. He guarded his phone like it was a secret diary. Screen facing down, notifications turned off, bathroom breaks that lasted just a little too long. I noticed, of course I noticed, but instead of asking hard questions, I made softer excuses for him. He's stressed, he's tired, he'd never do that to me. Isn't it strange how love can make you defend someone who's quietly hurting you? I started changing myself instead. I cooked his favorite meals, I laughed harder at his jokes, I dressed nicer, spoke softer, complained less. I thought if I became easier to love, he'd come back to me. But the truth is, you can't compete with a secret. One evening, we went out with friends. Everyone was laughing, glasses clinking, music playing low in the background. And that's when I saw it. Not on his phone, on his face. A smile he didn't give me anymore. His phone buzzed, he glanced at it, and for half a second, just half, I saw something flash across his eyes. Excitement. That smile wasn't meant for me. I felt stupid sitting there, nodding along to conversations, pretending I was slowly being erased from my own relationship. That night, I cried in the shower so he wouldn't hear me. Not because I knew he cheated, but because I knew I was being left in the dark. And darkness has a way of telling the truth before words ever do. The truth didn't come crashing in like a storm. It slipped in quietly, on a random afternoon, on a day that wasn't supposed to change my life. He had left his laptop on the kitchen table, open, unlocked, charging. That alone was strange. He was in the shower, the water was running, steam curling under the bathroom door. I wasn't looking for anything. That's the part people never believe. I was just cleaning, moving things around, trying to keep my hands busy so my thoughts wouldn't spiral like they had been doing for weeks. Then the screen lit up. A notification popped up in the corner. A name I didn't recognize, a heart emoji, and 4 words that froze my entire body. I miss you already. My hands started shaking. I told myself there had to be an explanation, a friend, a coworker, a misunderstanding, something innocent I could hold on to so I wouldn't fall apart right there on the kitchen floor. I shouldn't have clicked it, but once curiosity turns into survival, there's no stopping it. The message thread opened, and just like that, 7 years collapsed into seconds. There were jokes that weren't meant for me, late-night messages sent while I slept next to him, plans, inside jokes, little moments that belonged to someone else. And then I saw it. A photo. Not graphic, not dramatic, just enough. Enough to confirm what my heart had been screaming all along. He hadn't just cheated. He had built a whole other world where I didn't exist. I remember sitting down slowly, like my legs forgot how to work. The room felt smaller. The air felt heavy. My ears started ringing like my body was trying to protect me by shutting everything else out. I scrolled further. Months. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't one bad decision. This was a pattern. The shower turned off. Panic rushed through me. I closed the laptop exactly how I found it, put it back where it was, stood up, took a deep breath. Another. By the time he walked out, towel around his waist, smiling like everything was normal, my heart was breaking quietly inside my chest. He kissed my forehead. That almost destroyed me. I didn't confront him right away. I needed to hear him lie first. That night, I waited until we were in bed, lights off, the room dark enough that I didn't have to see his face clearly. My voice barely worked when I spoke. "Is there something you need to tell me?" He turned toward me. I could hear the confusion in his breath. "What do you mean?" I swallowed. "About us." There was a pause, just a second too long. Then he laughed softly. "Where is this coming from?" That laugh hurt more than the messages. I rolled onto my side, facing away from him. "You've been distant, guarding your phone, coming home late." He sighed, a tired sigh, the kind meant to make me feel guilty. "I told you work's been crazy." I turned back toward him then, my heart pounding. "Are you seeing someone else?" Silence. Not denial, not shock. Silence. Then he reached for my hand, and that's when I knew he was going to lie. "No," he said softly, "never." The word never hung in the air like a slap. He told me I was imagining things, that I was insecure, that I'd been acting different lately, and maybe I was projecting. Projecting? He held my hand, looked into my eyes, and lied with a calm I had never seen before. "I love you," he said. "Why would I ruin what we have?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the truth in his face. I wanted to show him the messages, the photo, the proof. But instead, I stayed quiet because something inside me shifted. I realized something important in that moment. If he could lie this easily, if he could look this peaceful while betraying me, then leaving right away would give him peace, and I wasn't ready to give him that. So I nodded, pretended to believe him, let him pull me close like nothing had changed. But everything had. That night, while he slept soundly beside me, I stared into the dark and made a decision. I wouldn't leave yet. Not because I was weak, not because I didn't know my worth, but because the truth deserves the right moment. And when it comes out too early, the wrong people control the ending. I wasn't done yet. Once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. But once you accept it, that's when things get dangerous. I didn't cry anymore. That surprised me. Instead, something else took over. A calm, a cold focus I didn't know I had. I went back to my routine like nothing had changed. I laughed when I was supposed to. I asked about his day. I cooked dinner. I kissed him goodnight. And all the while, I watched. Silence gave me access. When you stop reacting, people get careless. He thought he was safe because I didn't push, because I didn't accuse, because I didn't leave. What he didn't know was that every quiet moment gave me space to learn. I memorized his habits, the way he left his phone on the counter while showering, the apps he forgot to close, the cloud account that stayed logged in on the tablet he barely used. I never rushed. I took screenshots slowly, saved dates, matched timelines, late-night messages sent when he claimed to be asleep, lunch breaks that lined up with her work schedule, voice notes full of affection he hadn't used with me in months. And then I found something he truly never expected me to find, an email folder he never deleted. Travel confirmations, dinner reservations, plans that were supposed to be work trips. He didn't just cheat, he organized his betrayal. And the more I found, the clearer something became. This wasn't about love. This wasn't about temptation. This was about choice. He chose comfort with me and excitement with her. He chose lies over honesty. He chose to let me doubt myself instead of telling the truth. Every piece of proof felt like another brick, not on my chest, in my foundation. I wasn't breaking anymore. I was building something. There's a moment people don't talk about, the moment you stop hoping. For me, it happened on an ordinary morning. We were standing in the kitchen, sunlight coming through the window, coffee brewing. He wrapped his arms around me from behind and rested his chin on my shoulder. "You okay?" he asked. And for the first time, the question didn't hurt. I realized I didn't care what his answer would be if I asked him the truth again. That's when I knew. Love doesn't always end with a scream or a fight. Sometimes it ends with indifference. Something inside me closed quietly, like a door locking from the inside. I stopped imagining a future with him, stopped wondering how to fix us, stopped asking myself what I did wrong. Because the truth was clear now. This had nothing to do with my worth and everything to do with his character. That's when the planning began. Not revenge fueled by anger, not destruction fueled by pain, but exposure fueled by clarity. I asked myself one question: what ending would leave me proud of myself? The answer wasn't public chaos. It wasn't screaming matches or dramatic exits. It was truth, placed carefully, delivered at the right time to the right people. Silence became my strongest move because it made him underestimate me. He thought my calm meant forgiveness. He thought my quiet meant weakness. He thought I'd chosen comfort over courage, and that was his biggest mistake. Every time he lied, he gave me more rope. Every time he smiled, he confirmed my plan. I wasn't waiting because I was afraid. I was waiting because timing matters. And when the truth finally comes out, it hits harder when no one sees it coming. I didn't rush the ending. Endings are delicate. If you force them, they fall apart. If you rush them, the wrong people get hurt. So I waited for the moment that already belonged to him. His birthday. He wanted a small gathering, just close friends, a few coworkers, his sister, his parents, people who mattered, people whose opinions he cared about, people he never thought would hear the truth from me. I helped plan everything. That's the part that still feels unreal. I booked the restaurant, sent the invitations, smiled while he complained about work, listened while he talked about honesty and trust like they were words he still understood. All the while, I prepared quietly. I didn't tell anyone my plan, not a friend, not a family member. This wasn't about building a team. This was about control. I organized everything into a simple folder: messages, dates, reservations, timelines. Nothing dramatic, nothing exaggerated, just facts. Because facts don't argue, they don't shout, they don't need emotion to land. The night before the dinner, he hugged me and said, "Thanks for doing all this. I'm lucky to have you." I smiled. And for the first time in weeks, I meant it. Not because I loved him, but because I knew something he didn't. Luck had already left him. The restaurant was warm and loud, laughter bouncing off the walls, glasses clinking, candles flickering. He looked relaxed, confident, in control. I watched him greet everyone like a man with nothing to hide. Halfway through the dinner, someone asked him to make a speech. He stood up, smiling, tapping his glass lightly. "I just want to say how grateful I am," he began, "for the people in this room, for the love, for the support." He looked at me, and especially for her. That was my cue. I stood up slowly. The room went quiet. "I'd like to say something too," I said, my voice calm, steady, clear. He looked surprised, but not worried. Yet. "I want to talk about truth," I continued, "because it matters, especially to the people you love." I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. I didn't rush. I didn't shake. I connected it to the screen the restaurant used for presentations, something I had arranged earlier under the excuse of a photo slideshow. The first message appeared, a date, a name, a simple line that said everything. The room shifted. I didn't speak much after that. I didn't need to. Messages scrolled slowly. Reservations appeared. Timelines lined up with his lies. Gasps, whispers, silence. I looked at him. The color drained from his face. He opened his mouth, then closed it. His hands clenched. His eyes darted around the room, searching for an exit that didn't exist. For the first time since I'd known him, he wasn't in control. I turned to his family, his friends, the people who mattered. I stayed quiet because I wanted the truth to speak for itself. Now it has. I picked up my coat. As I walked out, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could already feel it. The weight of his lies had finally landed where they belonged. The next morning felt strange. Not heavy, not painful, quiet. My phone was already filled with messages when I woke up. Missed calls, long texts, short ones, some apologetic, some angry, some confused. I didn't open any of them right away. For the first time in months, I didn't feel the need to explain myself. What he never prepared for wasn't the exposure, it was the aftermath. He thought I'd cry, he thought I'd beg, he thought I'd leave quietly and let him rebuild his story. But the truth had already moved faster than him. People talk. Friends asked questions he couldn't answer. Family members stopped defending him. Coworkers looked at him differently. Not because I demanded it, but because truth changes how people see you. He tried to call me again that afternoon. This time, I answered. His voice was shaking. "Why would you do that?" he asked. "You didn't have to embarrass me." I let the silence stretch. "You embarrassed yourself," I said calmly. "I just stopped protecting you." He didn't know what to say to that. For years, I had been the one smoothing things over, making excuses, keeping his image clean. Without me, he had nothing to hide behind. And that realization broke something in him. I hung up before he could ask me to fix it. Some things don't need closure. 3 days later, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't him. It was her. I recognized the name immediately. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I answered. "I didn't know," she said, her voice thin and uneven. He told me you were done, that you didn't care anymore. I believed her. Because lies spread outward, and eventually they collapse inward. We talked for a long time, not about him, about truth, about how easy it is to believe someone who sounds confident, about how silence can be mistaken for absence. By the end of the call, something inside me finally settled. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. I packed my things that weekend, not in a rush, not in tears, just calmly closing a chapter that had already ended. Here's the lesson I walked away with. Silence isn't weakness when it's chosen. Patience isn't surrender when it's intentional. And walking away with your dignity is the strongest ending of all. I didn't expose him to hurt him. I exposed the truth so I could finally see myself clearly again. And that was enough.